Good evening, pepper lovers, and welcome back to Let's Grow Hydro. It's been about a week since I filmed my last episode. Let's take a look at my Cantest plants and see how they're doing. So this is my yellow ghostly jalapeno. It's been doing pretty well. You know, I think out of the both of them, this one definitely has the best root system. As you can see, it's quite rooty in there, which is really good. It's exactly what I wanted to see after about a week. Some of the roots that came through did dry up a little bit, go a bit brown, like they weren't happy with maybe the concentration of the nutrients. I did start them on a slightly more mature plant dosage, so that could be why. And you might notice as well in the video that I'm going to overlay, there's kind of been a bit of a film on the top of the nutrients. Now, I'm not sure what this is. People have suggested it could be bacterial. Some people have suggested it could be because of the hard water. Obviously, when you lower the pH of hard water, you get things like magnesium and calcium that come out. I think it could be that for sure, because I've noticed on the roots it kind of feels a bit grainy on the roots, and that leads me to believe that maybe it's a build-up of something rather than bacterial. Either way, the roots don't really seem to want to grow into it, and they kind of just hit it and stay stagnant for a little bit. So really then, if you're like me and you're in a position where you've got hard water, very hard water, probably the hardest water in the country here, what I would suggest is that you feed them plain water for a little bit until the roots penetrate the surface and they're actually down into the water. Then at that point you can drain the can and then top it up with nutrients to the same level as before. I think that would probably work best. That's what I'm going to do for my Jay's Peach Ghost Scorpion, because as you can see here, the roots haven't really done anything at all since last week, and that's because either there's a build-up on the top, there's bacteria, I don't know what it is. Either way, I've replaced the nutrients in the can with some water, some plain water. Thanks Farmer Dan for the tip, and we'll see how it goes in about a week. That's been the grow update portion of this video. Let me show you how my existing cans are actually doing on the advanced nutrients, and let me tell you, they're doing amazing. This Matapino was in a pretty dire state before I started adding the nutrients. You know, the roots were kind of brown. They weren't happy with these nutrients, which were other £7 nutrients on Amazon. Not great, are really brown, sludgy, they gunk up the roots. They are not good for growing. I wouldn't recommend these. Especially not towards the end of the bottle, where there's like a concentrated sludge in the bottom, which is just really hard to measure and gross. But yeah, this is my Matapino. Doing really well. There are some flower buds at the top there, getting ready to come into flower. In terms of the actual roots, what we've got here is an amazing looking root system. You know, lovely white roots. You can see all the roots that are in sort of contact with these new nutrients are staying white, going white, they're growing nice new white tips. And now I've got to jam these roots back into here because it's quite difficult when a plant gets to a certain size, as you'll find out when in the can contest. This is my Gator Jigsaw from Pepper Ranger. Thank you, Pepper Ranger. Again, this one started in a can. The roots were looking really dire, but since I started using the advanced nutrients, let me tell you, the roots are doing amazing. And the whole plant's just started to really bounce back. But yeah, the roots on this one, once again, looking amazing. There's no kind of signs of unhappy roots here. They look great. We'll check back again in another week. Maybe I won't do all of them next week, but we'll certainly have a look at our Cantest plants to see whether my water trick is actually going to work or not. For the next part of this video, I'm going to be starting some new seeds. These seeds won't be for the Cantest, but they will be grown in hydroponics, so I thought I might as well show it here. Over here I've got some rock wool, just a standard cube. I think they're slightly smaller than most people use. And I've got a net cup. Again, probably slightly smaller than most people use. This one doesn't have a lip, so actually getting it to stay in the can could be quite a challenge. And then I've got my labels. So this one's going to be Fatalii crossed with Medusa, and then this one is also going to be Fatalii crossed with Batman Bubblegum 7 Orange. So these are both my F1 hybrids that I've been working on. I got seeds today, and I'll show what it looks like actually cutting into these pods and getting the seeds out. So today we're going to be planting those seeds, and here I've got a small shallow takeaway container full of water, which is what you'll need to sit the net cups in, and some clay pebbles. These are mainly for later on when you want to start growing in a can or a jar or something like that, which I will be growing in. I think I'll be growing in jars for this one to save my cans. First of all, what I'll do is, these rock wool cubes actually come with a little hole in the middle already, but this hole I found is usually quite small, you can't really get a seed into that, so I'm going to use the cocktail stick to make this hole a bit wider so that I can actually fit a seed in there. Or in my case, 2 seeds, because I don't trust that this one will germinate. That hole's a bit wider now, so I should be able to pick a seed and get it stuck in there. So this is my Batman Bubblegum 7 Orange Fatalii seeds. They look so much better than the Medusa seeds. The risk is much less when you use the same species. So they're both capsicum chenennes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a couple of seeds out of here. Now if my lovely assistant would take some close-up shots of this, I would love that. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the rock wool cube wet by placing it in my little tray of water. Now if I stand it in there for a few minutes, it should soak up a decent amount of water. just going to try and get it to absorb as much water as I can. There we go, that's absorbed a decent amount of water now. Just going to squeeze out some of the excess. And from my little pot of seeds, I'm going to take just a couple. Good looking seeds, so this one looks alright. And I'm going to poke it straight in there. And then I'm going to get another one that also looks pretty good. That one looks pretty good. And I'm going to poke that one in there as well. And then I'm going to use this cocktail stick to really poke those seeds down in there. And then using the cocktail stick again, create a little flap. And that will then help prevent helmet head on the seeds. And then I'm just going to stick my cocktail stick straight in there so there's no risk of confusion, because that's easily done with me. And then I'll just sit that there, and then moving on to the next one. So same procedure. I'm going to get this nice and wet, and then once it's nice and wet, I'm going to use this existing hole in the top, which is really off center. Going to make that hole a lot bigger and a lot deeper. And then, in a similar way, I'm going to find two decent looking seeds in here. Now I've already found one that looks pretty good. I think this is probably my best shot. It does look quite thin, but in it goes. And we'll see if it pops up. It's always a risk that it won't pop up with an interspecific cross. But yeah, I'm going to have a look. Again, I think there's one more in here. And this bit of placenta that looks good. So I'm going to rip that out very gently. Yeah, it's just come free. This one looks pretty good, to be honest. It looks just like the other one. And then it will probably germinate. Now the reason why I'm hoping to get two seedlings out of this is because it's an interspecific cross, and they are always very fun in that all kinds of issues can crop up either now or in a couple of generations time. So I want the best possible chance of being able to create another generation out of this pepper. So I've got those seeds pretty much firmly down in there now. I'm going to just create a little flap over the top to help stop helmet head, because the last thing I want in this one is for helmet head to kill an interspecific seedling. Try saying that 5 times fast. So the idea of having water in the bottom then is so that it doesn't dry out very quickly. My advice would be to check it every day anyway, see how the water level's doing. But having water in the bottom just helps moisture wick up into the rock wool to help stop it drying out. I almost forgot to mention, so what I'm going to do with these, now I've got the water in here and I've got the rock wool nice and wet, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these on a heat mat slightly lower than max temperature, and I'm going to put a humidity dome over the top of this just to trap that moisture in. It creates a nice humid environment. I find that most of my seeds will actually germinate in about 3 or 4 days, a week max. I have had seeds that last longer than that, but the vast majority of them will pop up quite quickly, especially because these were fresh. So I'll check back in a few days time, and hopefully next week we'll see if we've got some sprouts.